somebody else wants to
There's
speak.
some other folks that want it. Mr. Davis, you need to give up that chair so somebody else can come up. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Dan Handelman with Portland Cop Watch. I want to point out that last week, 3 people who got the opportunity to testify to you about this issue brought up either directly the police issue or talked about how you should listen to the community. You split that testimony around the contract issue, which I've never seen you do before. You stopped the testimony. You took testimony from one more person and then shut that whole thing down. Did you contact the people who signed up last week to let them know that it was continued to this week? Commissioner Fritz asked about that sign-up sheet. I don't see a whole room full of people like there were last week waiting to testify on this issue. You have to stop moving the agenda items around. You have to vote on moving the agenda items around. That's what the city code says. This is my 3rd week in a row coming to testify on something and being denied the opportunity to testify on it. I'm not paid to be here. You are. It's very disrespectful to me and everybody else who came down here to testify on these things, that you keep moving the agenda around. What I was asking you before about my point of order is that can't you remove the emergency clause from the police car item and then vote on it with the 3 of you here? Because if it were an emergency, you wouldn't have delayed it from last week. You said you were doing more work on it, but it was reposted this week exactly. There's no change at all. The PDF actually even had the same label on it from last week. So it was only pulled from the agenda so you could avoid it taking testimony last week. We had prepared testimony about the police cars. I wanted to talk about how there are more crashes, how it's cost just this year $192,000 in settlements about crashes in police cars, and I'm wondering whether that's caused by them looking at their computers while they're driving around. That's what my testimony was going to be about. And I also, of course, want to also talk about the thing that other people brought up about last week's vote on the contract, that it violated 3 aspects of city code, including that when you remove yourself from these chambers, it takes a positive vote of the council to do that. The mayor can't declare that you're moving to the Rose Room. So you have violated city code. You're going to have to take another vote on it. And as with any item, anybody who voted in the majority and feels bad about what they did can bring up a vote within 10 days of that vote for another vote, especially given the composition of council today. I think that would be a very brave and appropriate thing to do, to bring that up for a revote, the PPA contract. But we're going to pursue our legal recourses against the way that you held council on that item. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we